Vince McMahon is selling all his remaining TKO stock. A WWE title match is set for next week's SmackDown, and The Rock wants a WrestleMania match with Cody Rhodes. Stay tuned for all the deets. So it feels like just a few days since we last reported that Vince McMahon did a stock sell-off of some of his TKO stock, but now it appears that he has registered his remaining TKO shares for sale, which amounts to 8,021,405 remaining shares. Despite being registered to sell, he's not yet sold them, but should he sell all his remaining shares, he'll no longer have any presence or association with the company at all. This comes after he previously sold over 3.4 million shares of TKO and Endeavor earlier this month.
That's a baffling amount of shares that he's getting rid of. I think, what was it? How much was it calculated?
So it was nearly $800 million, I think.
That's an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. Now, we've seen, I can't remember how many shares he was given immediately upon the emergence of this new company, TKO, but he's had a large amount of stock. Yeah. And, he's slowly been selling it off, but it looks like he's getting ready to part with it completely.
Yeah, to move out of the company altogether. But I think that's something that no doubt TKO wants. TKO is looking for. Especially this past weekend, we've had very much repeated, solidified statements that this is the Paul Levesque era. Yeah. That this is a different company. That this is a new era. That we are moving past all of that. Sort of prior backstage booking and behavior and the way that the company was being ran, I guess, is what they were trying to get across. But they've got to be itching for Vince to sell up now, right? Surely. For sure. You got to imagine that maybe some of the principal stockholders that are there still are going to be looking to maybe swoop in and increase their shares. Well, that's the thing.
It could be a case of where he's registered them to sell, and TKO obviously announced that they did the release of that information. It will be interesting to see whether TKO or Endeavor, particularly Endeavor, buys those shares to get a larger ownership. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you will, as you said, some of the other shareholders, we know that there's quite a few, they're all listed on TKO's website. Yeah. Could just try and get a little bigger piece of the pie.
Well, this is it. I think there's many routes that it could go, but ultimately it's an interesting time when Vince is looking to completely sell off. I genuinely thought we wouldn't get that. I never thought we'd see sell off. I think we'd see gradual, every so often, maybe once a year, a small amount gets sold in order to just cover.
Never thought we'd see him completely sell all his remaining stock.
That's it. So I think this is a very, very big signifier of potentially what's to come. But there's a there's a lot on the horizon. What happened to my voice there? A lot on the horizon yet. With the ongoing civil lawsuit and everything else.
For sure.
But moving over to next week's SmackDown, it's been announced that there's going to be a WWE Women's Championship match with Bayley defending against Naomi. She expressed her intent to give Naomi a title shot after Naomi defeated Tiffany Stratton to earn the match.
It's going to be a great match. I don't see Naomi winning, though. I feel like this is just a nice way to establish who Bayley is as champion, the fact that she's willing to take on all comers.
It puts Naomi back where she needs to be as well. Naomi's sort of back to the point that we know she's been to before, and Naomi's a credible threat and in the singles division.
For sure, she's a great threat in there, but also it's very interesting to see. We've talked about earlier a potential tag team in the women's division. Obviously, she teamed with that potential tag team. Find out who it was in the first video today. But she's
the big three.
The big three, as she referred to themselves. It'll be interesting to see if that continues going forward as a trio, and whether they're positioning Naomi as the women's title competitor out of the three of them at this current point in time. But I think Bayley's got this as an easy win.
We're going to see them all kind of cycle through that position, I think. So it's going to be one of those where we maybe have a bit of a revolving lineup. But ultimately, I'm quite excited about Bayley's current reign. I think this is going to be maybe, hopefully if everything lines up and everything goes well, it's one of the best runs of her career so far.
For sure. And if they give this match time,
oh God, yeah.
It could be really, really good.
Just let things build. Yeah. Let it all happen. But we've also got a number one contender match set for next week's SmackDown as well, don't we?
We do indeed. Well, we're going to find out who is going to face A-Town Down Under for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships as the Street Profits take on Legado del Fantasma, the Authors of Pain, and the New Catch Republic. This is a 4-way tag team match. And I'm really unsure as to who's going to win this one. I'm thinking maybe Street Profits.
I've got like obligation. I've got to say I want the New Cats Republic to win.
Yeah, of course.
That's it. Like the licensed people have just left now. But essentially, I don't know what it is, but in my heart, I'm just going Authors of Pain. Authors of Pain. I just want to see them trash everything.
It would be quite meaty.
I want a big power tag team in that are just trashing everybody.
That'd be good fun.
I've been watching too much like Legion of Doom for videos at the minute. Like you can tell, just like I just want aggressive, just smashing into stuff and big simple moves.
You don't want that flippy stuff anymore. No, just battering.
Lines, lariats.
I do think we're going to see some involvement from Axiom and Nathan Fraser though, because on NXT this week, the Final Testament attacked them as they they became the new NXT Tag Team Champions. I feel like the Authors of Pain won't get let off that easy.
No,
I think there's going to be a little bit there. I think
they're going to be the shenanigans, as they would say,
for sure.
But it wasn't all we learned on last night's SmackDown, because it was also revealed what we've been sort of building up toward for a while. There's been little teasers here and there, but Sheamus is set to make his WWE return on this coming week's WWE Raw. A little bit quicker than I think a lot of us thought.
For sure. I mean, we saw a teaser on this past week's Raw that was like the video package for him, but they didn't give a date. Whereas this time it's actually confirmed he's coming back on Raw this week.
Which, his last match came in August 2023 on SmackDown when he faced Edge in Edge's final WWE match for now. Yeah. Sheamus has been out of action with a neck injury ever since, but recently teased big things coming from him.
And those big things, I think a few people were speculating it could be AEW. He could be leaving WWE, but no, he is back. He's going to be on Raw. I don't know where his future lies when it comes to the draft, but with him coming back on Raw, you would expect him to stay there.
It's just Raw is probably the perfect landing spot, right?
Him versus Damian Priest for that world title.
Yeah, I think Sheamus is someone. There's still so much there in the tank, and I just can't wait to see where we're going to end up. But looking toward next WrestleMania, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE is reportedly planning for Cody Rhodes versus The Rock to be a long-term thing, with The Rock preferring to have the match between them at WrestleMania 41 next year. There's apparently no planned date for The Rock's next match, but it's been talked about in WWE for next year's Mania. But as things currently stand, he could work a match later this year, but he would rather work Cody in the main event of WrestleMania. I'm sure most people would rather work the main event of WrestleMania. You know,
can I work? Should
I turn up on SmackDown or should I turn up when I get paid like $5 million?
I think realistically, the only places we're going to see Rock wrestle, the Saudi Arabia show in November.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And WrestleMania.
I think that's an appearance at SummerSlam if his schedule permits.
If
Maybe
it permits.
Not to wrestle, but an appearance.
An appearance, that makes sense. But I think, it makes sense completely. He would want to work with Cody Rhodes.
SummerSlam.
Of course he wants to work with Cody Rhodes.
We've had the MacGuffin, we've had the tease, we've had the little item being passed.
Whatever it was.
Hand to hand, whatever it was. So this is all just going to be like a nice chunk of build. But it kind of leads to the question, though, looking at it, if The Rock wants to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania next year, how long's Cody Rhodes going to be champion for, Fraser?
Well, the same report does detail a little bit about the plans for Cody Rhodes as champion. Obviously, with The Rock wanting the match next year at WrestleMania, it would seem, and I quote, a lock that Rhodes is in for at least a 1-year title reign. But that it's not a lock, but Johnson would prefer it. So it seems seemingly like WWE is going to go, he's got a 1-year title reign. Cody Rhodes is having a 1-year title reign, and The Rock wants it, so it would be a lock in that sense. Currently, though, WWE is going to play it by ear in terms of that. There are no firm plans backstage for when Rhodes is going to be champ or how long he's going to be champion, but the report notes that it will be decided on how well business is doing and for storyline reasoning rather than the sake of extending a title reign. To break records, looking at you, Roman Reigns.
This is it, right? I think Cody needs to be a fighting, defending champion. Cody needs to be making all of the defenses he possibly can because he's the big, valiant baby face. Until eventually we somehow get tapped Cody and he starts to see himself as this, like, he's doing well and he means the best for everybody, but slowly it gets more sinister. I think that's maybe on the horizon.
You think it'll go that way?
Not yet, but like a while away.
Okay.
But I think, ultimately, I can see Cody holding the belt for a year, but I'm glad that it looks like they're going to play it by ear. They're going to see how business is. And it's not like they can't move the belt in and around a situation to get it back to Cody.
Get back to him for it.
But it's ultimately, it feels like there's going to be a little bit more careful consideration of booking under the current regime. Fingers crossed that is the case, right?
Have The Rock win the title before it. Have Cody win 3 Royal Rumbles back to back, baby. Come on.
Oh, and then, yeah, you could. You really could.
Goes into WrestleMania to face The Rock and win and finishes the story again.
The Rock just throws him out the Rumble at the end and then declares himself new champion because he can.
They don't do Endgame.
Changes the rules.
They do bloody Secret Wars, and they all the multiverses come in. But
flying and there's portals, and then there's a big like Thanos is there. It's like actually just Josh Brolin painted purple.
A Matty front row painted purple.
He's got a legally distinct Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, he can't have it.
Can't have the proper one. He's got a legally distinct one. It's got 2 thumbs.
Two thumbs. He's just
Think
in that
of all
the
the
whole
evil
time.
you can do with 2 thumbs.
on the match for Cody versus Rock, just a second. It did the same report noted that The Rock could defend his People's Championship against Rhodes in a belt versus belt match based off the exchange on Raw.
A lot of people like who I know who aren't really in or around wrestling like, oh, the Rock's belt's cool, but like obviously it's not like a belt.
It's not sanctioned.
But it's like I like the idea that maybe eventually in years time, like it stops being this vanity belt and it becomes a general
belt,
a general
FTW
title
belt.
that's like it's a people's championship. But how do you determine a people's championship, right? There's so much you'd have to look into and consider, but it's a cool looking belt.
Hey,
man.
look, you can pass on the mantle. Cody Rhodes is really the champion of the people right now.
Yeah.
That moment at WrestleMania was the
maybe
people
that's
supporting
it.
him.
We'll just swap belts, Cody. You can be the people's champion. I'll be the one that makes the
WWE
money.
champion. Yeah. I do think that if they do a belt versus belt thing, Cody Rhodes will then take the mantle off the people's champion.
Yeah.
I think that's the way you pass the mantle on.
Yeah.
The people's champion, the American nightmare, Cody Rhodes. It's got a ring to it.
Brackets, wrestling has more than one royal
Wrestling
family.
is more than a royal family, of course.
Brackets with the dog called Pharaoh. Brackets.
I love Pharaoh.
I love Pharaoh.
Pharaoh's great. Pharaoh's great.
But obviously, this leaves one big question when you're looking at Rock versus Cody. It feels like somebody's getting forgotten about here in the middle of all of this. And of course, it's Roman Reigns. So if Rock versus Rhodes is planned for WrestleMania next year, where the hell does this put Roman Reigns versus Rock, which is a dream match a lot of people want to see? Well, the Wrestling Observer newsletter has reported that while it isn't official, WWE is looking at WrestleMania 42 in 2026 as the year that's headlined by The Rock versus Roman. However, the report notes that a million different unforeseen things could change that, literally. Somebody could roll their ankle and
The Rock could film Moana 3, 4, and 5. He could join Avatar.
Roman Reigns could become the biggest movie star on earth in the next year. It's improbable. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. It could happen. And that's 2 years out, and there's a lot of time to go through that. Maybe one of them, maybe The Rock goes, I don't want to face Roman anymore. I want to face Cody again. It was so fun.
What if all the backstage producers just like sack off wrestling and become like movie stars and stuff?
Bobby Roode's got a great look.
Brian Gewirtz is like tasked with writing like Jurassic Park 9 or whatever it is.
Yep.
But like it's a complete reboot starring The Rock. I think that,
The Rock is a T-Rex.
What do you do then? Cody turns up as a T-Rex and The Rock beats Cody?
Yeah.
He just suplexes a T-Rex?
Hey, it works for Godzilla.
If Godzilla can do it.
Godzilla and
Come
Kong.
on. And we can get a Rampage tie-in. Black Adam can turn up to save the day.
Brilliant.
Spielberg would be loving it. Release it on classic iPod. But that was it for your second dose of lovely bumper weekend wrestling news. We may be back later on if there's anything more to come out today on the old exciting news.
Yes.
But in the meantime, just keep it with us here on the channel, the podcast, the longest podcast in the world. Is
7
live.
hours.
7 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours.
7
hours for your viewing pleasure, and they are all drunk. It's going to be quite the occasion. But we'll catch you in a bit.